How do we encourage personal responsibility?
That's the $1,000,000 question. I will say that the anorectic drugs, Ozempic and et cetera, they, lead to less addictive behaviors, which is awesome and actually allows you to express more personal responsibility. Do they also reduce your food drive, which is your hunger and your desire to do something about eating more tasty foods so substantially that for any amount of willpower you happen to have, you'll be able to be more successful with a weight loss plan if you have that hunger reduced. So, for example, if you have a same person, in one instance, they have their full weight of their hunger and cravings, and you're like, look, you can make better choices. It's going to cost you a little bit more time and you're going to be able to plan your whole week out. Or you could just right now drive over to Wendy's and just show Dave Thomas what really business support looks like. Talking about just throw him $100 bill and just jump into the window and start eating fries. When you're hungry enough, that last thing sounds like exactly what your body designed you over millions of years to do. And the first one sounds like, "Oh my god, are you kidding me? Like, I can't plan anything. I'm starving. Get out of my face and give me a donut. And if you're not a donut, definitely get out of my face or I'm gonna eat you." That doesn't seem to comport for many people. However, you take that same person and you take their food drive and their hunger down substantially. And these medications, it's like a turn dial. The more of them you take, if you can manage the side effects, the less hunger and food drive you have. You turn down the food drive from a 10 to a 3. You talk to the same person. You go, what do you think about eating next week? Do you want to try this like healthy meal plan you damn well know you're supposed to be doing anyway, hint, hint? Or do you want to go to Wendy's and just like let it all fly? And they're like, huh, you know what? I really should be doing something for my health. You're like, well, let me try it. And you're like, well, why are you saying yes now? And they're like, because I'm not starving to death. And that's a big deal. It's kind of a similar idea with something like, I'll go on the political left here because I sound pretty right wing. Something like universal basic income. When people are dirt poor, they got nothing to build on top of nothing. Tell them, well, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't have boots. It falls on deaf ears. The whole thing is a rat race maze for survival. But if you get people some decent housing and some decent health care and some decent food to eat and a little bit of money, then all of a sudden, if they're not interested in improving their condition, you can fully blame them now because you got everything you need to start making your life better. You're clearly just being a piece of shit about this. And on the other hand, also the folks that needed the help, now that they have a place to live and medical care and food, they're like, wow, man, this is so helpful. Now I can determine, and I take all of my energy and putting it towards getting a great job, increasing my education, saving away for the future. You've enabled these people to do that. So in just the same way as some universal basic income might help some folks, in some instances do better because you're just deburdening them. In a similar way, the pharmaceutical drugs are deburdening people from having psychotic hunger all the time that they're typically used to after a few weeks of a diet, because the psychotic hunger after a few weeks of a diet is not some weird mystery of the universe or the obesogens are causing it. This is just how most people's brain react to dieting because your brain's not designed to make you lean. It's designed to make you as fat as humanly possible when the opportunity presents itself in most cases. And again, like that's why America and Mexico and half of the world looks as obese as it does now. So empowerment is a big thing these drugs can give you precisely because they can allow you to be the best version of yourself unencumbered by insane drives to continue eating as much food as possible.
So in our space where a lot of people have sort of changed their mind or at least been a little bit more open-minded or have seen somebody firsthand in their family that was significantly overweight, they're like, okay, great. I get it. These drugs have a role, even if I have a bias towards, people moving towards like the less reliance on drugs in general as a theme. If somebody has a personal bias, right? I'm not saying anything other than that, even if they have a personal bias towards that, which, I think a lot of us inherently have, we don't want people on too many drugs that are out there, even though that might be seen as subjective. A lot of people have felt, okay, I get it. These anorexics, is that what you're calling them?
Anorectics. Yeah.
Anorectics.
Mhm.
These anorectic drugs have a place that's there. Where I think that people have a little bit of feelings around it, maybe myself included, it's like, awesome. For the person who is, probably 30 pounds or more overweight, they're doing more harm carrying that weight around for the rest of their life than, any potential even once you take out even like maybe the misinformation around it, potential side effects that would be associated with the appropriate dose of these drugs that are there. How do you feel about the people that are in the 5 to 29 pounds, right? Do you feel that these drugs have a role for those individuals? especially if they've not taken that sort of more evidence-based approach of auditing their calories, increasing their protein, starting to do some resistance training. How do you feel about that classification of people?
I feel great about them. God bless them. I hope they take all the Ozempic they want. There's not a damn thing wrong with them doing that. However, if they do it in that haphazard way, where so that you're sort of there, this is a group of combined two things. One is they're less than 30 pounds overweight, right? And the other is they also just aren't attending to anything fitness related, like eating enough protein, healthy foods, going to the gym. And they're like, oh, I don't need any of that stuff. There's a pill for that. So they're going to lose all the weight they want, probably, and that's awesome. They can even get skinnier than they planned, which most people think is cool. I don't like the skinny look. That's not for me, but other people think it's great. God bless them. It's a great look. So nothing on the moral side at all. But there's a consequence to not paying attention to the quality of your diet, especially if you're on powerful drugs that can now radically reduce your body size. For example, if you're not eating plenty of healthy foods as the core of your diet, these drugs, you just say you just did junk food. You know those people that aren't super overweight, but all they eat is junk? You ever have coworkers like that? Like, I swear to God, if they stopped making Twinkies and beef jerky, you would starve to death. Like, how are you real? Those folks will eat less Twinkies and less beef jerky when they start taking these medicines. And then the total amount of micronutrition, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and fiber that they got just barely kept them in working order because they were able to eat enough of this awful foods that have very few of those things in there. Now that they've reduced those foods, but they haven't eaten any better foods, they're like at decent risk of vitamin mineral deficiencies and not getting enough D vitamins and B vitamins and calcium and all the way down the line. If they're going to like shrink down and you're going to be like, Debbie, how are you? She's like, good, good. You're like, holidays treated you well? She's like, yeah. You're like, Debbie, we haven't known each other a long time. Are you sick? Is something going on? I want to like send you flowers or something. She's like, no, I'm on Ozempic. I'm feeling great. You look her up and down. You're like, okay, just walk off. Like your parts of you are disappearing and not in a fun way. And bags under her eyes. Her skin looks really pale. She's just undernutrition. That's what we call it. And so folks like that suffer greatly from that situation, which is simply remediated by eating most of your diet as lean meats, veggies, fruits, whole grains, healthy fats. If you do that, then as you reduce the amount of that food, it's still so vitamin and mineral and nutrient dense that you're just going to be a leaner, more awesome version of yourself. The second problem is protein. So people don't eat enough protein when they take Ozempic and they just eat mostly junk food. Now they eat less junk food. Now they're eating even less protein. And then they can become what's called hypoproteinemic, which means they just don't have enough protein for normal body functions, which means they start to take protein from the parts of your body that need it the least for survival. So it doesn't happen like this exactly, but you could see it blown out as like, oh, as your body's like, all right, everyone line up. We need amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. We don't have enough. Who's willing to give them up? Heart's like, dude, I'm pumping blood. Well, die if I don't have enough muscle. Like, all right, heart, you're good. Get out of here. Brain, I'm thinking all of these solutions and ideas. Okay, brain, get out of here. Liver, are you kidding me? We do all the detox. Okay, liver, get out of here. Hey, skeletal muscle, what are you up to? And it's like hoarding amino acids. Like, I'm good. Do you need all those? Like, well, yeah, I got to move us around. Like, where are we moving? We got elephants chasing us down? Give me up some of that. So what ends up happening is because skeletal muscle, isn't critical to your survival until you have very low levels of it, these people just lose lots and lots of muscle mass, which gets looking like Ozempic face and Ozempic butt, which again just makes you look sick. It increases your risk of all kinds of diseases. It does not make you more mobile. It barely makes you more attractive. Can you imagine a guy looking at a girl like, man, she's really hot. And like, oh, why do you like her so much? Like, she looks like she's dying of illness. Like, what? That's not anything. No one says that. And so all of a sudden, the poor nutrition is bad because now you have too little nutrition from taking these drugs and doing nothing about it. The insufficient protein is real bad. But you also said something which I think was awesome. Point number 3, they don't resistance train. They don't lift weights. They don't exercise. Ozempic gives you such a huge anorectic response. It drives your hunger down so much, you're likely to cut your calories by a substantial amount. And that's all hunky-dory. But that means the catabolic muscle breakdown drive in your body just escalated a ton. It's a formula for muscle loss. How do you prevent that? Well, you definitely have to have enough nutrition. We covered that. Enough protein. We covered that. Lifting weights. There is an argument. I'm not endorsing it. There is an argument for every prescription that a doctor writes in America for the next several years of these anorectic drugs to come co-prescribed with go resistance train. Because, and Dr. Lyon probably told you this extensively, skeletal muscle is an incredibly health promoting tissue. You don't want little of it, you want plenty of it. And if you lose weight the bad way and you don't resistance train, the signal for muscle loss is profound. The signal for, hey, regain some muscle and keep it on your body just really doesn't come through. So you just lose a bunch. But if you resistance train while eating a healthy diet, while getting enough protein, while taking these drugs, it's the friggin' miracle cure out here. You're going to re architect your body. You're going to functionally appear, feel, look, and metabolically be like 10 years younger after losing like 25 pounds of weight, because you'll gain something like you did, 5 or 10 pounds of muscle, lose a load of fat. It's just this hugely enormous thing. So the real problem to me with those folks that are less than 30 pounds overweight that they're using the drugs isn't that they're like taking a shortcut or it's the easy way out. I mean, like the shortcuts are there for a reason. Like we want to take a shortcut. Someone you getting on a flight at JFK to go to, Dubai or something, and someone's like, you could swim to Dubai. You're like, what the hell is wrong with you? I guess hypothetically, if I had a raft to rest on all the time, sure, it's just going to be faster. Like cheater, it also pours carbon dioxide in the environment when the plane turns on. You're a bad person too. But like these shortcuts are seen as normal. The drugs here are just an empowerment tool. That problem there's no problem with at all. But the fact that these people just kind of willy-nilly the thing and they don't look at their healthy food intake, their protein consumption, and their resistance training, they run into problems. And the only reason fatter people don't run into problems is because they have so much excess muscularity from carrying their body fat around that they just can't lose as much muscle relative to their size as everyone else can. And so, yeah, they still lose muscle. Oh my God. And also because what's low calories for them is a higher number than it is for folks that weigh way less, they also don't risk the undernutrition part nearly as much. And if they don't resistance train, but they just kind of walk around, it's pretty good resistance training for their legs. They don't pay as much of a approximate cost. But if those fatter people just kept losing weight, they'd pay all those downsides. So yeah, long story short, sorry for the giant rant, but these drugs are awesome and amazing. You don't have to take them, but they're an excellent option. But they're even more excellent by a huge factor if you combine them with healthy eating, higher protein intake, and resistance training. And that's to me the big kicker here is it's not drugs versus lifestyle. It's a teamwork effort and everyone can contribute. Drugs can contribute, though not necessary. Lifestyle can contribute and it's a little bit more necessary and just has a huge yield on everything.
YouTube, if you enjoyed what you just saw, keep watching for more great content on how to improve your brain and your life.
People are like, hey, you're over fat. It's some special thing in the environment that as soon as we get rid of, you're going to be back to normal. It's so tempting to believe that. But every piece of evidence we have so far says that's just not true.